hear us?
Testing.
Hopefully you can. Well, we'll record, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it's not like we're lacking content. So,
it's cold in a witch's teeth out there.
Yeah, so we just got back from a Manitoba podcast festival, not festival, gathering of people that were at the festival.
Meeting of the Minds.
Meeting of the Minds. Yeah, it was a bunch of us kind of talking about what to do, what to do for the next one. I don't know, some general information. I think it went quite well.
Yeah, kind of first meeting with everyone, or with some. I guess, well, not whole people. A lot of people went, but nice little group for now at the beginning.
Yeah, I think what Manitoba's always been missing was a community, and this is what we're working towards. I guess building a network. Pretty exciting. Yeah.
You can turn right here.
Yes, you can turn right here.
I just keep waiting for no reason. Watching the cars go by.
As we mentioned just within the last hour or so, we're in traffic and we're trying to turn and we're talking about the traffic. We're actually trying out the new LG 7 recording device on here and seeing how it works recording as a replacement Zoom recorder or backup Zoom recorder.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it sounds because we have it close to where I guess the vent would come through for the air, for the defrost. There might be a little bit of noise there.
Yeah, so we'll see what it sounds like. It's another cold day in the Peg. It's according to your car, it's -20.
It's probably colder than that with the wind chill.
Yeah. Insane. So, there's going to be another podcast festival, like the second annual, later in the year. Was it October last year?
I remember it was cold out.
Maybe it was November. October, November. Yep. Anyway, so there's going to be another one this year. There'll be stuff posted all over the place. Hoping we play a little part in it. It was kind of good to talk to the Sam's numbers are actually really good for his show, which is great to see. And it's an aim to see if we can get numbers like that.
The first show they had at the Park Theater it was just kind of I don't know, it's just more feelers to see how many people are out there and got everybody together, and we had a little bit of a meeting to see what the next one what would be beneficial to have, and we kind of touched on the different setups that people have. Some are more elaborate than others. Some people just use their phones. Some people have lots of gear to use. And everything in between. So I guess they're thinking of having up maybe different tables and stuff set up with gear and stuff. People talking about their stuff and how they run theirs. Whether they run just strictly audio. Some people have a bit of video added to theirs. Some people have intros. Some people do voiceovers for videos. There's just so many different aspects of it to be covered, which will be interesting to see.
Yeah, so some of the stuff we talked about, there was maybe an underrepresentation of different types of podcasts at the last one. It's predominantly interview-like podcasts that were represented at the last festival. So we kind of talked about there's different kinds. Let's kind of it'd be great to see some of those different types of podcasts involved in the community and kind of talking to each other. We got a few ideas up our sleeves on what to do. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. I don't want to spoil anything because there's a few things we want to do. We just make sure we can all execute on it. But it was good. It was a really good group of guys. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Well, we kind of touched on because it was kind of just all dudes. At this one, and they were talking about I guess the panel that they had last time. I guess there was a few of them that didn't get recorded There was one female panel, and there was some other male panels that didn't get recorded. I think they had a bit of some technical issues, but trying to kind of branch out the different types of people that are either being interviewed or people that are actually doing the podcast. And being from Winnipeg, it's just a melting pot of different people that they want to try and see if just kind of broaden your how would you call it?
expand, yeah.
And whatnot, yeah.
Well, because I think the most common, like for podcasts, like I don't know, do you listen to podcasts, Todd?
Not a whole lot. If it's something that's intriguing, which is probably the main reason why a lot of people may not watch podcasts, because they're probably not easily accessible as, say, TV or radio. And of course, everyone has a different interests. So if you can find an interest in a certain group, and then you can kind of look it up. I kind of compare it to YouTube videos. You want to see something, you want a review of a certain item, you punch it in, there it is. They need the same type of outlet just for podcasts, because when people are driving or whatnot, you're not going to be watching YouTube videos or watching any type of, whether you're sitting down relaxing, you have your headphones on, just kicking back. It's nice to have something with just strictly audio. They can kind of explain everything except for having to visualize it.
That's an interesting thing, because if you want to do anything, if you want to build anything around your house, if you want to look up how to solve this problem, if you're having an issue with your computer, generally you'll go on Google, you look something up, you look at a video, which will more than likely play on YouTube, and you look it up. If you want to find something, or if you want to find a review of something, you generally kind of, like, I know for me, it defaults to YouTube a lot of the time, looking at something on YouTube to look at stuff, but there's no podcast tube or anything like that, which would be kind of good, because if I want to find a podcast and I'm going through my podcast player, it's not as universal as you would think it is. Like if you're going on iTunes and like you're looking through the podcast to find something to listen to, that's not how I find podcasts. What do I want to listen to? A podcast is always a referral for me. So if Chris Jericho had those guys from Pot of Thunder on, for example, like, oh, okay, I wasn't aware of this podcast, I'm going to go check it out. I'll download a couple episodes, see if I like it. Mm-hmm. The referral system for podcasts, like I wondered, like, do people just go on their iTunes and look up podcasts and then put in the topic and try to find a podcast that way? Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, that's iTunes. That's one. And you were talking about, was it RSS feeds and stuff?
Feeds, yeah.
And is that strictly for Apple?
Well, so most people generally, when they're uploading their podcast, they're uploading it directly to iTunes or Google Play or Spotify, and that might be the extent of it.
Right.
So when you do it that way, you can just look up the podcast and find it. No RSS feed required. If you're using a iTunes player or a Google Play, Google Music player, or you're using your Spotify account, you can find the podcast just by looking it up. But I use the Podbean player because our podcast is on Podbean and I pay for a membership. Mm-hmm. But if I look up Witch Police Radio on my podcast player, it's possibly not going to show up. So if you're actually trying to find a podcast, if you're looking at iTunes, you're probably going to find it. But if you're using anything other than iTunes or Google Music, you're probably not going to find what you're looking for, because indie podcasts are not necessarily uploading to everything. And I think that's kind of the tough thing. Like if you're on YouTube, you're looking up for a band, every band's on YouTube. Every band has some sort of video on YouTube. You generally can find the band just by looking up the band. But if the only way to find that band was to type in some RSS feed code to find the band on YouTube, you'd never find anything. And I think that's that's kind of what's lacking in the podcast world. I think we're kind of missing the ability to look at stuff, the ability to define things. It's a little more difficult. You can't just browse, because the things that you're going to see is going to be Joe Rogan or Chris Hardwick or, you know, the various sports podcasts that are usually through some sort of network, like through Westwood One or Podcast One or like one of those podcast networks.
They get the ability to promote their own.
Well, it's like, yeah, like I want to find a show on TV, and if it's not on NBC, I'm not going to find it on NBC. It's kind of the same thing. Like you're only finding it through the mainstream cable. So I guess it's the equivalent. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to describe something that doesn't exist. It's kind of weird.
Well, yeah. There's just too many people. It's. I don't want to say it because someone's going to go and do it if they haven't done it already. But yeah, they just need an outlet for podcasters. It's basically what it comes down to. Just a generalized area.
It's just a search engine. Like before there was a Google, finding stuff on the internet was painful.
Well, there was Yahoo.
There was Yahoo.
And
but
some of them actually went under, didn't they? Like
a lot of them did. Yeah, there was a lot that came and went. But once Google as a search engine, and you know the other ones, the Google-like ones, you can find whatever you're looking for. It doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's local or not. You can find it, and you can refine your search to find stuff. And I guess you could do the same if you're looking for a podcast. You could do it through Google. Find the podcast, go to that podcast webpage, grab their RSS feed, go into your podcast player, enter the RSS feed, and then you have it. Like, if there's a way to eliminate some of those steps on podcasts, that'd be great.
Google did it right when they did the search engine. They made it clean.
Yep.
They didn't have, 26 different little video things and clips and icons and stuff like MSN does.
No, MSN's painful.
Yeah, so I mean, you go to Google, it's clean. You punch in your search, you go to it. You don't have to, see all this other stuff. Plus, back in the day when it first started, I think computers were slower, so the more stuff that you had on your screen would just bog down your whole system. I mean, nowadays, it's not that much of a problem, but I think they just kind of like clean and lean. I think that was the way to go, and that's how they were able to
pump up
flourish,
the speed.
I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess my biggest gripe about podcasts is just finding what you want to find. It's difficult. We need a Google for podcast within your podcast player. Maybe there is a podcast player that does it, Todd. Maybe there is. But I can't put iTunes on my phone.
No.
Because I don't have an iPhone.
Right.
So as good as that technology is, and everyone uploads to iTunes, I can probably listen to any podcast I want, regardless of the size of it. You remember where you're going?
Yeah. It's like beta and VHS.
You keep going back to beta and VHS. All right.
We got two different formats. They don't talk to each other, so you need something that's something that has common ground.
On a Windows machine, you can still, on a Windows machine, you can still download iTunes. Why can't you do that for a phone? I've never figured that out. It doesn't really make sense.
No.
Yeah. All right. You know where you're turning?
I'm going to turn the back lane, I think.
No, I'm parked in the front though.
Yeah.
Yeah, just turn like right or left here. All right. Well, that's all we got for today. I might just put this up and get people talking.
Okay.
Well, hopefully it's recorded well. Trying some new technology with the LG G7. Hopefully my car starts. Maybe wait till my car starts,
for sure.
just to be sure.
You can start it and then just come back in here.
Yeah. All right. I'll keep talking. Put this in. I'm gonna start my car. In Canada, you have to start your car, leave it, and then come back.
We'll do a play-by-play of you starting a vehicle. He's unlocking the door. Well, that looks cold. I really love my heated seats. Winnipeg January weather. Oh, there he's brushing off the snow. So
I'll let it run for 2 minutes.
So is that how you brush the snow off and just slam the door?
Yep.
Yeah, that's Winnipeg snow removal.
So yeah, there's a layer of snow in my car. Instead of using a brush, you just slam the door.
I still haven't been able to get out. Oh, it's starting to come off.
Todd's been trying to get, there's little speckles of ice on the windshield, and he's been trying to get them off for the entire ride.
Yeah, I know, you can
And
probably
he's
hear
just stubbornly like,
yeah, I'm just,
it's gonna come off, it's gonna come
I'm
off.
just gonna use the windshield wiper. There we go.
There we go.
There now. I'll probably have to refill my windshield wiper.
Yeah, but you get that one speck off. There's that one lingering one that just wouldn't go away.
Exactly.
7 Days to Die.
The game?
Yeah.
That's what you're playing?
We are thinking of buying it for PC.
Really?
Yep.
7 Days to Die for PC.
Yep.
And you can play online, like multiplayer? Or
Well, we play multiplayer online 4-player.
Right.
But apparently the PC version. Do you remember there was a game called Civilization?
Yeah.
Right? And then they came up with Civilization Revolution, which was for the consoles.
Okay.
So it was like a watered down version of Civilization.
Right.
Because they didn't know how to make a console, like how to make it work on a console.
Right.
So they created like a light version of it, which is really fun. It plays faster. I mean, you can finish a game. You could probably finish a game from front to end if you're playing on an easy level, like in about 2 or 3 hours.
Okay. If you have a multiplayer game that you'd be playing on PC, yeah, because you just bought a new one. And if you had, you know, if you had it on PC,
well, we have 2.
and you let me know, and I'll get the game. And
do you have Steam on your?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I got Steam. I've got. I've only actually bought, well, 2 games. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Because I know that, and I think I've played it online a couple times, but I just kind of leery when I play it, and I don't know anybody. So if I had someone that I played with, you know, you could team up and do whatever.
That's the one thing you're missing out on is like that's what Sylvie and I get out of video games, is playing online with Mark and Rob and whoever else, like Thomas or whatever. It's just playing together and just laughing your ass off. And
yeah, Warcraft is the only one that I've actually played multiplayer
with people.
And I used to be in a, what do you call it, a clan, not a clan, but a guild.
Yeah.
And it was great, and everyone would help you out, and you met people, you know, all over the world, and it was pretty cool. But the only thing is it's so immersive. You could, and I mean, they've had shows and people talking about it and being addictive, and people not going to work, and I think EverQuest was prior to.
Yeah, EverQuest.
And I'd heard people doing that. And after playing it, I realized why, because I mean, I had immersed myself quite a bit into it for a number of years, and then just kind of took a step back because it was just too much.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I got back into it, but it was just kind of, you know, an hour here or two. I never really joined a guild anymore, because as soon as you went on into dungeons and
well, then you have commitments you have to make
then
to the group.
You pretty much have to reserve a certain amount of time, an hour, 2 hours, depending on what
we
you're
don't
doing.
play that way.
Yeah. So
what I was going to say was that we're looking at maybe the Steam version of it, which is the PC version,
right,
through Steam.
Right.
Apparently, just like with Civilization and Civ Rev, they actually made a dumbed down version for the console, and I think, I'm not sure, but this is probably what they did with 7 Days to Die, because we're finally like, 7 days, it's fun, but there's some limitations. Like there's certain things like, wouldn't it be great if you could do this? Wouldn't it be great if you could do that? Apparently, the PC version has no limitations. We're playing 4-player cooperative.
Right.
Apparently, it's bigger.
On PC
on
or
PC,
on
PC.
Okay.
So we're looking for the price to drop. It's like $30 now. Mark's got a marker on it for when the price drops, and if it does,
good.
We're probably going to commit to getting it and giving that a shot. So if we do that, I'll let you know.
Definitely let me know.
All right, I think car's warmed up enough. I'm going to head home.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, hopefully it's worked. If so, then I will be posting this.
Sweet. That'll be my next phone.
This evening. Yeah, this phone's great. All right.
All right.
Peace out.
See ya.
Bye.